Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask, so I'm 17, I'm going to be coming out of high school here, and of course I'm thinking about college. I've also spent my first year in high school during the pandemic, and those were the worst years of my life. For anyone who has kids who knows what it was like to go through online class, I can attest that there is nothing more isolating than sitting behind a screen. So for the past 2 years, I've been doing work in the education sector, specifically through a nonprofit I've started. And doing that, I've begun to collect data that has been showing that kids, especially of high school age, are at least 2 to 5 years behind where they're supposed to be. Coming into college with college tuition prices at an all-time high, what is going to be happening? Never before have kids been more pushed to go into college than they are today. Now they're graduating with degrees that many of them can't use, now strapped with college debt, and then the government is coming to clear that debt, which is a very vicious cycle. I want to know how we, in concrete steps, can fix the rift that COVID has caused, as well as aid the financial mountain that stands in front of all college students.
Well, first of all, I'm so proud of you for going through hardship. Now, I don't need to tell you this, but I tell young people this all the time. You're the example of it. Hardship is not a choice. It's a choice our government made, and I think it was the wrong choice. But for you, it was not a choice. Hardship is something that happens to you. But victimhood is a choice. And you did not choose to be a victim. You have educated yourself, apparently started a nonprofit, now on the eve of entering college with more knowledge about this issue than most politicians I meet in Washington, D.C. I'm proud of you, and you give me hope. Tell me your name. Let's give Rhea, a 17-year-old student here in New Hampshire, a round of applause. And you're spot on. And so I believe that we have a moral obligation, a sort of debt, actually, a moral debt to the COVID generation of kids in this country. I wish I could tell you we could fix the past. We cannot fix the past. The best we can do is to learn from our mistakes and do better in the future. If we had been, just think about this. If we had been allowed to debate the merits of school closures, we would have never closed those schools. But we were told to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. That you're racist, out of line. Whatever the name-calling was, you had to be compliant. You had to obey. And now we have to pay for it. A generation of kids who will never get that year or 2 years for some of those kids back. And you want to talk about inequality. Actually, so I had an interesting experience because I went to actually a relatively bad public school, 1st through 8th grade. And then I went to a Catholic high school, private high school, St. X High School in Cincinnati for 9th through 12th grade. And I'm on the board of that high school now. That high school was closed for a total of 4 days ever over the pandemic. Cincinnati public schools, they missed a whole year. So don't you tell me that math is racist because black kids are performing more poorly on math than Asian or white kids. Math is not racist. 2 plus 2 is still 4. What might be inequitable is failing to teach a bunch of those black kids how to do math on behest of some teachers' union protection, which was basically a year of quasi-vacation. And so how are we going to reform education in this country? I'll go quickly. First is cut off the head of the snake, the U.S. Department of Education. We have to shut it down. Take that $80 billion, okay? And by the way, to your question, this is the same Department of Education that is falsely goading kids to take 4-year college degrees that aren't serving them well without doing a thing for vocational training programs. 1-year programs that actually would better serve many kids to make the right choice for them. It's also the same Department of Education that says you don't get this money as a public school unless you adopt these toxic racial and gender ideologies. So take that $80 billion, give it back to parents, to the people. Let those parents actually have true choice in where they send those kids to school. Up to and including schools like the high school I went to, St. X High School in Cincinnati or others here in New Hampshire. That's great. Now we have true school choice, but I'm at school choice 2.0. Starve the bureaucracy of the teachers' unions. And actually, this is a dirty little secret for you. You may already know it. You're so knowledgeable. Maybe you know what I'm about to tell you. the public schools in this country that spend the most per student are also the schools that have the worst achievement results. Think about how twisted that is. So I say if you're a parent who takes kids out of one of those failing public schools to a different charter school or public school or private school, you get to take half the difference with you. So let's say in New York City, give you an example, $40,000 per student per year. There's charter schools spending $15,000 per student per year with light years better academic results. So the difference of that $25,000, you get to take half the difference, $12,500 with you. If you put that in that kid's account over the course of 12 years, from 1st through 12th grade, that kid's graduating with a $250,000 graduation gift. With investment returns, over $300,000 plus graduation gift. You tell me which is a better use of money. It's not even close. Let those, how do public schools compete with private schools and charter schools? Got to get rid of the teachers' unions. They're the single greatest source of handcuffs on those public schools. Now we've got true choice. We've got school choice on steroids. Then we say transparency. If you're going to teach it in the classroom, you better put it on the internet. And if you're afraid to put it on the internet, you probably shouldn't be teaching it in the classroom. Now we revive civic education in this country to say that every high school student, I hope that, I have a bet that you would, pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass in order to become a citizen of this country. You only value a country if you know something about that country, if you have a stake in that country. That's how we have a nation of capital C citizens. That's not going to fix what you went through. It's not. But it's going to make sure the kids who come after you don't have to go through the same thing that you did. And that, you know what? You're still able to be strengthened by that hardship too. Because this is going to be an odd thing to say, but in every hardship is still an opportunity. Right? You will never be the same for that hardship, but you may never be the same in ways that are good, that made you stronger. Maybe you never had that experience of starting a nonprofit, gaining a leadership experience that you never had as a teenager that ordinary teenagers would not have had. Who knows? Maybe you will be the person who's leading that company years from now. Maybe you will be running for president of the United States and run the executive branch of government better than I did because you have a good sense of what it means to lead that you picked up at a young age. Who knows what good will come of this too? We have to be open to that possibility. Would we have gotten out of World War II if FDR had never had polio and been in a wheelchair? I don't know. Does that mean we wish polio on everybody in this country? Of course it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But as I said earlier, hardship is not a choice. It happens to you. Victimhood is a choice. We choose victory. To me, that's my best definition of what it means to be a conservative. Hardship is not victimhood. Hardship is part of what helps us discover who we really are as Americans, as individuals. And if we embrace that attitude, then nobody's going to stop us and nobody is going to stop you. I'm proud of you. Thank you for asking that question. Keep sharing your story.